What's up guys, it's Joey here from the Commander's Lair. Today I'll be sharing with you my Chulane deck tech. This is a $50 deck tech, and I haven't mentioned it before, but the prices I calculate on for my decks is on Card Kingdom using the deck builder function, and I find, not including basic lands, the price of the deck. Um, so this is $50 for that. Chulane is a little bit expensive, it's about $4. However, this is the casual deck, so the price is okay being low. Basically, the theme is playing a lot of small creatures, getting lots of value, drawing a bunch of cards, getting a bunch of mana through lots of ramp and card draw effects tied on with Chulane's ramp and card draw as well. Obviously, this is pretty common for a Chulane deck. We're doing it a little bit of a unique way with some interesting finishes and kind of themes that are a bit different, but most of this is quite similar to a regular Chulane deck, just optimized on a budget to be really powerful still. If you guys would like to see some more niche decks, let me know because I do love building like kind of rare and like uncommon decks with weird effects and themes or just weird commanders. So if someone would like to see that, or again, if you'd like to see your own commander or a commander of your choice, let me know and I'll build one for you or a theme of your choice. Otherwise, thank you. We'll go into the video now. So Chulane is 2 green and white and a blue for a 2/4 with legendary creature human druid. Vigilance, whenever you cast a creature spell, you can draw a card, then you may put a land from your hand to the battlefield. 3 and tap, return control creature you control to turn its hand. So obviously we're going to be not really flickering much because it's a cast effect, even though we do have ETB effects in the deck. Basically just casting small creatures to get that draw card in the land triggers, plus any effects that the creatures may also have on them. And then that 3 and tap to bounce a creature to your hand. We're not going to be using it constantly, but it's nice value. We're not building around it. However, it definitely can be useful most turns if you have spare mana. So as I mentioned, we're basically going to be ramping a whole bunch. Through Chulane obviously gets lands on the from your hand to the battlefield when you play a creature. So any of our many 1 mana creature, 2 mana creatures, or even our bigger creatures like the 4 mana ones or the 3 mana, they all can still ramp us by getting a land to the battlefield. It's untapped as well, which is just crazy value we can use at the moment it comes into play. So a 1 mana creature is mana positive, and we draw a card. So that's basically just wild, especially when that card is a ramp spell like a like some other cards in the deck like Avacyn's Pilgrim. It's a green mana for a 1/1 tap to add a white. So this is probably one of the better mana dorks because obviously we can fix quite easily for green because we've got lots of forests. And so obviously the white's a bit harder to fix for, so that's nice. Um, And then other creatures like Farhaven Elves, 2 and a green for a 1/1. When it ETBs, you can search for a basic and put it into battle for tapped. You can do Chubby a library. So basically, for 3 mana, we get a 1/1 that draws us a card and gets a land untapped and tapped. So that's Cultivate plus draw a card and a 1/1 in comparison. So that's really nice. And to make sure that we constantly hit those triggers, we're playing 43 lands, which technically isn't part of the ramp package, but it does kind of tie in nicely because it turns a lot of our creatures into ramp and makes it really consistent and it's likely we'd get that every single turn. And again, as I just mentioned, Chulane draws a card whenever we cast a creature. However, that's not enough because I really love card draw. So that's obviously incredible value and it goes positive, so we never lose cards when playing them as long as Chulane's out, which is great. But we can do better than that. Elvish Visionary is a perfect example of a lot of what we're running in this deck, which is basically creatures that draw a card when they enter or draw multiple, that kind of effect. So what's 1 in the ring for a 1/1, when it ETBs you draw a card, so obviously that's 2 mana for a 1/1 draw 2. So just 2 mana draw 2 and put a land from your hand into the battlefield. It's just obviously incredible value. 2 mana draw 2 is crazy. We're running a lot of effects like this. And then Takeover is a little bit different, but obviously it's really powerful in this deck. 3 green blue for a 3/3. When a land enters on the battlefield under control, you gain life and draw a card. So this is playable even in a non-landfall, just regular deck that has Simic in it. Just an extra card a turn and an extra life for 5 mana is not terrible. However, with Chulane, when we're playing those 1/1s and we keep drawing cards, because every time we play a 1/1, we're going to draw a card, and then if we put a land into play, we're going to draw another card. So that'll be 2 cards per creature with Take You Over out as long as we have lands in hand. And life, it's just, that's a incredible card draw engine. They can go along with the obviously ridiculous amounts of card draw that Chulane has already. He can just churn through your deck. It's not unusual that we genuinely will draw an entire deck if our deck goes the way it's meant to, which it generally does, because Chulane's just really powerful. So a smaller, kind of more interesting theme that I've added to this deck that isn't just playing creatures and just constantly getting lands and drawing cards is some token synergies. So cards like Falcon Abomination, it's 2 and a blue for a 2/2 with flying. When it ETBs, you get a 2/2 black zombie with creature token with Decayed, which means it can't block, and when it attacks, sack at the end of combat. So this is just 2 bodies for 3 mana, which isn't bad. Obviously, it's 2 bodies for 3 mana that can be recurable by bouncing into a hand and reusing it. So that's just repeated value, and then obviously repeated card draw and ramp for each one of those. Eyeless Watcher has ramp straight on. It's 3 and a green for a 1/1 with Devoid, so it has no color. And when it ETBs, you put 2/1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scions onto the battlefield, and you can pay 1 and sack them to add a mana. Oh, sorry, you can sack them to add 1 mana. So this isn't bad. Again, it's just 2 tokens that we can use later for additional effects that I'll talk about at the end. Or, of course, we can sack them for mana, or we can use them for blockers or just any other synergies that we need. And again, obviously, we can just bounce this back to our hand constantly. A massive big board. Armada Worm that doesn't synergize as well with the rest of the deck, but when we have enough mana, which we obviously can do easy in the deck, we can kind of get lots of bounce and ramp triggers off this. It's 2 green, green, white, white, so it's 6 mana total for 5/5 with trample, which is obviously is a nice body, and when it ETBs, you get a 5/5 with trample as well. So obviously, just if we can somehow find a way to keep playing this, obviously it's expensive, but if we can, which is possible, oftentimes it's actually get at least one of these down a turn. That's a 5/5 every turn, which is just pretty powerful, and it's a nice ETB. Obviously, 6 mana for 10 power with trample is great as well. So then onto the removal. This is sort of similar to my Marin deck tech. We're playing lots of creature heavy removal, often with a lot of ETB triggers to kill things. So Reclamation Sage is 2 and a green for a 2/1 creature. When it ETBs, you just try to target artifact or enchantment. So as long as we can keep bouncing this and reusing its ability or its ETB ability, we can get multiple uses out of this, as well as obviously playing it to draw a card and get a land. So as I've mentioned the entire time, every card just has tacked on draw a card, put a land from your hand onto the battlefield, which is just mental value. If you guys couldn't figure it out yourself, just constantly is just truly insane. Chulane is one of the best commanders in the format for sure. It makes every little play, every incremental thing we do just massive. Such as with Frilled Mystic. This is the only counterspell I'm running. Normally I wouldn't run any because I just don't like counterspells, but it's green, green, blue, blue for 3/2 with flash. When it ETBs, you counter target spell. So again, for the same reason, we can just reuse it, if possibly return it to the hand, bounce it, just cast it again, just get those ETB triggers and the draw. Just nice effects on a creature body that can remove things. So next off, as I've mentioned, hopefully a lot of these creatures have ETB effects, so bouncing them means we can reuse them. Cards that do this are cards like White Mane Lion. It's 1 and a white for a 2/2 with flash, and when it comes into play, return dog creature you control to its owner's hand. This obviously is just nice. We can reuse a trigger for only 2 mana. We can just recycle something, such as that Rex Sage or the Gigant the Visionary, just to draw a couple extra cards or remove something. And then Jelly Offshoot's a bit different. It's only a green mana for 0/3, so obviously again, this is a cantrip, and we can put a land from our hand into play. So any 1 mana creature is just incredible value in this deck, obviously. It has Defender, so it can't attack, but whenever a land enters the battlefield under control, we gain a life, so this just turns, again, when we play those creatures, it'll be play a creature, draw a card, put a land on the battlefield into play, and gain a life. Just adding on extra value for a value-centric deck is just great. And this is kind of another theme in the deck, where we just kind of gather value around those ETB triggers, and just things entering and bouncing, just kind of get additional value through that and helping aid that kind of strategy. So now onto those win cons. As I mentioned before, we are going to be using those tokens. So if you've noticed, the decent amount of cards in this deck do kind of amass a bunch of tokens for us. Just get a decent board going with lots of tokens to just enter the battlefield for ramp, or just for general. There's like 10 token making cards in this deck, as well as just the general creatures that we're going to play as well. And so basically, when we cast the cards like End Raise Forerunners, 4 green, green, green for 8 mana total, 7/7 with Vigilance, Trample, Haste. When it ETBs, other creatures control get pursue and gain Vigilance and Trample at end of turn. So if somehow it doesn't work and this 7/7 with all the other effects doesn't punch through, we have Vigilance, so we protect our board again. But also it makes a lot of 1/1s into 3/3s with Trample and Vigilance, which is obviously a decent attack when we've got, say, 10 of them. And just is a nice kind of finisher. We've got a couple of effects like this, just at the end of the game, turn those tokens into lethal through those ETBs we've been amassing all game. Amaranth Illustrious is a more value kind of win. It's 3 green, white, blue for 6 with flying. When another permanent ETBs, you can look top card of your library. If it shares a card type with that permanent, you may reveal that card and put it into your hand. So just constantly drawing cards for 1 mana. It means we're just going to be looking, getting cards, playing cards, putting them to battlefield. Getting a creature will trigger. We'll look at the top card, get a creature, put it into our hand, play a land, obviously, because we can play one for free when we cast a creature. So play that land, look at the top card. If it's a land, get into our hand. We can play the creature we just drew to then play the land we just drew to look at another 2 cards, possibly get another land and a creature, plus Chulane's draw effect as well to just churn through our deck. This is one of the easiest ways to get to the bottom, and just draw as many cards as we need, which backs onto our next win con, Triskaidectophile. It's 1 in the blue for a 1/3. You have no maximum hand size, which is obviously great in this deck because we're drawing so many cards we don't want to discard them because we don't use the graveyard. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have exactly 13 cards in your hand, you win the game. You can pay 3 in a blue to draw a card. So it's quite easy to control how many cards we draw in this deck. Just if we want lots of card draw, we play lots of lands. If we don't, or creatures. If we don't play lots of creatures. So this is really easy. The reason I'm including this, because I don't normally play alt win cons, is because obviously we're not going to be drawing cards at instant speed, only at sorcery speed, because this deck operates almost exclusively at sorcery speed. So we're going to play all our creatures out, get to 13 cards, and our opponents is going to see that. We're going to be sitting on the board with a win in their hand. If they don't stop us. So then obviously they can have ample opportunity. They have their 3 players' whole turns to either kill us or kill the creature or make us discard cards or make us draw more cards, anything like that. So I just think this is a fair win con, but it is also an incredible way to round out this deck and is really powerful. Okay, thank you guys so much for watching. This will conclude my Chulane deck tech. I'm noticing that, obviously, I'm sure you guys might be as well, that I'm building a lot of kind of popular commanders. I don't like building popular commanders. I have some, but I also love the niche ones I mentioned at the start of the video and some just suboptimal ones. That's where I like to build. But I notice a lot of you guys are watching the more popular ones. So if you would like to see those popular ones, let me know and I can obviously build it. If not, I'll probably keep doing this until someone gives me a suggestion for what to do. I'll be happy to change it up if you guys want to suggest a deck or anything. If not, I can also help you guys if you want a budget extension for this. Let me know in the comments. I can either make another video or just give you some suggestions. Just telling you, a more popular version. If you guys would like to see some non-budget decks or some slightly higher budgets, or even lower, if you want to see something, if you guys don't have enough to afford a proper commander deck, because they can be expensive. If you want like a $20 deck, I can build one of those because I've got a couple of those that are still really powerful, even at $20. So either way, thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Be sure if you enjoyed this video to subscribe and like it, and maybe if you want to see more, just check out some other videos as well. Thank you guys so much for listening. I'll see you all next.